Micromanagers are like a gnat on a hot summer day that no matter how many times you swat them, they just won't go away.
Tell me more.
Welcome back to Tell Me More with me, CJ Quartlbaum. Tell Me More exists to help bridge the gap in our intergenerational workplace dynamics and build better leaders. I am CJ. I've worked with hundreds of members of Gen Z. I've led, managed, taught, educated hundreds of people in my life across generations, and I am here to help you figure out the best paths forward. And that includes in our leadership. Because if you know anything about me, you know that my belief is that leadership is everything. Not just the fact that you are a leader, but your type of leadership is going to determine everything about you and your team. Leadership can either be the catalyst for growth, or leadership can be the fuel that burns the whole thing down. You know, a common mistake that I see from parents is that they'll want to parent all of their kids the same way. They'll say that I don't want anyone to feel like there's a favorite. So I'm going to treat, let's say you have 3 kids, I'm going to treat all 3 of my kids the same. I'm going to discipline them the same. I'm going to love them the same. I'm going to give them the same things. And I understand the spirit and idea behind that as a parent. I don't want my kids to feel like there's a favorite. But the truth is, that's the worst thing you can do. What you do in that moment is you miss the uniqueness in each kid. You miss what makes this kid special. While yes, they may all share the same exact DNA, come from the same exact family, grow up in the same exact home, they are still going to be 3 wildly different people. And if you try to treat them all the same, then you're inevitably going to fall short. I know this because I am one of 3, and me and my siblings could not be further apart. Sure, we share similarities, certain dispositions, but if you look at who each one of us is, we're in completely different worlds. The mistake would be to try to treat us all the same because we're not the same person. Naturally, your connections with your kids will vary. Each of your children is going to draw out something different from you. And in that perceived difference, what often happens is a feeling of a favorite. Because you might connect with one kid more on something that is a direct passion of yours. The other ones might feel left out. What happens with people in general, not just our children, is that they tend to bring out different sides of our character. Someone might make you laugh more than someone else. It doesn't mean you love that person more. It just means that they draw out something in you. I've got this one friend from high school. My wife makes fun of me all the time. Whenever I'm around this guy, I start squealing like a little kid. There's something about him and his comedy and his humor that makes me laugh in my belly the way that no one else does. That's just life. Doesn't mean I love him more than I do any of my other friends. The relationship is just different. Leaders have a tendency to make this same mistake. They show up in the office and they say, I'm going to treat everyone the same. There's no special treatment here. And what they miss is the uniqueness in their employees that they need to draw out, the different strengths and weaknesses that they need to play on, that they need to cultivate in order to get the best out of that person and for the good of the company. Same way that parents connect with their children on different levels. Leaders will often connect with employees on different levels. And the danger here is that they will show impartiality. They will show partiality. They will play favorites. And even when they say they're not, perceived partiality can have irreversible damage on a company's culture. You will have your favorites, the people you connect with more, that you like more, that you work better with. But if you are a leader, it is still your responsibility to get the most you can possibly get out of those in your charge. What you are is a leader. How you lead is everything. And whatever your leadership style, whatever your preferred method, it is still incumbent on you to get the most out of your people. Everyone on your team will rarely need the same exact leadership style. And it's very rare for you to excel at every kind of leadership style. Most people don't even excel at their kind of leadership style. But however it is you choose to lead, understand that is going to have a profound effect on your team. So I want to have a little fun today, and I want to give you a couple of different leadership styles. And I'm going to start with the authoritarian. You know exactly who this person is. That is the my way or the highway person. The authoritarian leader is the one who flexes their power, and they make sure you know that they're the ones in charge. They rule with an iron fist, and they do this either subtly or overtly. The most savvy of authoritarian leaders are not the overt pounding fists on the table ones. They're the ones who play the connections game. They're the ones who play people against each other. They're the ones who, when they're running a meeting, everyone knows, I got to look to this person before I give an idea. I can't freely just say what's on my heart and mind. Authoritarian leaders tend to have the lowest psychological safety amongst their teams because people never quite feel secure. There are positives to being an authoritarian leader. These leaders tend to get results from their teams. These leaders tend to have very clear vision. Their teams know where they're going and what they're doing because the authoritarian has set it up. It's my way or the highway. And I'm telling you that this is what my way is, so you know exactly where to go. Now, the weakness of an authoritarian leader is that you are just a piece on a chessboard. Another name on a spreadsheet, just another cog in the wheel. They don't see individuals as people to cultivate. They don't see their leadership as something in which they need to develop people. So these leaders, again, they create these atmospheres of low psychological safety. They experience high turnover and often high employee dissatisfaction. Here's a little bonus for you. A weak authoritarian leader is the worst kind of leader. A weak authoritarian leader is insecure. A weak authoritarian leader is running around trying to flex their power because they're trying to prove something to someone in their broken childhood, and you're the recipient of that. Authoritarian leaders are my least favorite kind of leaders. They tend to not really care about people. All they want are the results, and they miss the humans that are in front of them. Now, if you go in the exact opposite direction, you get the permissive leader. The permissive leader is the exact opposite of the authoritarian leader. The permissive leader is a kind of laissez-faire, anything goes. Listen, just as long as the job gets done, you do what you do. I see the quarreling and the infighting. I know that you're slacking off, and I just can't be bothered. The permissive leader has a hard time saying no. The permissive leader lacks clear vision and direction. Permissive leaders are hard to work for. Permissive leaders often come across as disengaged and aloof. Permissive leaders are the ones where you are constantly asking yourself, how did this person get this job? How is it that they are here, but I am here? Right, with the authoritarian, you can almost understand. They probably manipulated and back-channeled and schmoozed and politicked their way to the top. But the permissive leader, did they just fall backwards into their position? Now, the strength of working for a permissive leader is that they're going to give you free reign. If you are an ambitious person, if you are a person who wants to try things and experiment, more often than not, the permissive leader is going to give you the room to do that. Working for a permissive leader, if you are an ambitious person, can be a massive resume booster because you're going to walk away from that job saying, I did this, I did this, I did this, I built this, I built this, I built this, because they're not really going to stop you. Now, the opposite is invariably true. If you work for a permissive leader and you are a person who needs to be developed, who needs to be nurtured and matured and kind of taken care of and shown the ropes, you are not going to get that. They are far too disengaged to spend time on you, developing you and cultivating you and bringing the best out of you. I would not recommend your first few years out of college working for a permissive leader. I wouldn't recommend working for an authoritarian leader either, but definitely not a permissive leader. Now, I would recommend if you are, call it that late 20s to mid 30s, go work for a permissive leader. Because you, if you are an ambitious person, you're going to take so much advantage of that time and that space, and you're going to build and you're going to craft. And when you go for that senior level position in your late 30s to mid 40s, your resume is going to look dynamite. Now there's the micromanager. Micromanagers are my least favorite. Micromanagers are like a gnat on a hot summer day that no matter how many times you swat, they just won't go away. Micromanagers are like a heavy blanket weighing you down. Micromanagers are constantly over your shoulder. Micromanagers are disgusting. Respectfully, of course. They sit on top of your every move, and like the authoritarian, they can stifle growth. The micromanager kills creativity and kills confidence. They make you start second guessing yourself because you have to double check with them on every single move, on everything, and you don't know, am I just messed up here, or is there something wrong within the culture? It is the micromanager. They need their hands in every little thing. Simply put, the micromanager is a control freak. Now, of course, everything has its strengths and weaknesses. The strength of this approach is that a meticulous micromanager is going to get the job done. A meticulous micromanager, like the authoritarian, is going to make sure that the results come. They're intimately aware of the project, of the scope of the work, because they've got their hands in every little thing. Upper management likes a micromanager. No one below a micromanager does, though. Now, the weakness of working for a micromanager, it's what I said. They stifle creativity. They stifle growth. They're confidence killers. They don't give you the space and ability to work. It's impossible to grow when your every little move is managed and plotted for you. Micromanagers are like the helicopter parents. Those parents who've mapped their child's life from K through college all the way into their career and down to who they're going to marry, never giving the kid space and freedom to discover and explore, to fail and make mistakes. Micromanagers will often see your failure as their failure and therefore do not let you fail. But we all know that failure is often the best teacher. Failure teaches us not just what not to do, but it gives us the opportunity for post-traumatic growth. When you take that away from an employee or you take that away from a child, you are cutting off a very important part of their development. But micromanagers only care about results. They only care about being right. They only care about being in charge. And so they miss that. Here's a leader I'm so on. It's the visionary. Visionary leaders are future-oriented. It's like the name says. They have a vision for the future. Now, I think, in some ways a bit of a visionary leader. I'm constantly thinking of where I want to go. The problem with visionary leaders is that they are often too future-oriented. And so they're constantly bouncing from one shiny object to the next because they're always thinking about the next big thing. Visionary leaders will have a plan for your development. The problem with a visionary leader is they don't often stick with you long enough to see it through, because once a new shiny object comes through the door, they're running in that direction. Now, the strength of a visionary leader is that they're really good at getting buy-in from teams and from stakeholders and from upper management, because visionary leaders, they understand how to galvanize people and how to rally them. They tend to be charismatic and charming. And I know I just said that I have a bit of visionary in me. That wasn't me saying that I'm charismatic and charming. Although if you think that, thank you. Leave a like on this video to let me know. But truly, visionary leaders are good at those things. Good schmoozers, good charmers. But visionary leaders suffer from shiny object syndrome. They're constantly bouncing from one big idea to the next big idea before that big idea could even be implemented. Visionary leaders suffer when it comes to execution. They tend to have all the dreams and all the visions and all the places that this can go, but often they're not the ones who have to implement it. And they can end up being this unintentional weight on their teams who now have to figure out, how do I run with this big vision that came on Monday and the new one that came on Thursday? And of course, for a visionary leader, every idea is a great idea, and they don't do well when it comes to self-editing. Visionary leaders can be cool, but I think that the visionary needs good people around them who can help restrain the vision sometimes and keep them on track. While all of these leaders have their strengths and weaknesses, my favorite kind of leader isn't one kind of leader. My favorite kind of leader is a combination of the servant leader, the transformational leader, and a coach. Now, the transformational leader and the coach, they overlap a lot, but think about this. Transformational leaders and coaches, they thrive in development. It's kind of like what I talked about with Philip Holmes. The goal of your leadership has to be more than the bottom line. Transformational leadership and coaches, they see the people in front of them, and their goal is to get the best and most out of them. I love those kinds of leaders, because those are the leaders who look at you and they see in you what you can't see in yourself. They see the potential, and so they invest in you. They work with you. They give you room to fail. They coach you through your mistakes. They don't weaponize them in a performance review 6 months later, or bring them up a year and a half later and go, see, you did that back then. Instead, they look at these as growth opportunities. I love the servant leader. The servant leader, I think Simon Sinek's leaders eat last. They are putting the team before themselves. They are looking at their people. And this is a type of leadership that is self-sacrificing. This is a type of leadership that is giving. One of the best stories I heard about this recently was a person who was running a startup. The funding for the startup was drying up, and they knew that there were only a few months left. And the board gave them an option. Listen, we can lay everybody off and, probably get you another 6 months. And this leader said, no, I'm going to step down, take the money you would have given me and give it to them. That'll at least get them through the next few months and give them a chance to figure some things out. That is sacrificial leadership. If self-preservation is your guiding rubric in life, you will never do something like that. You will never be the type of leader that people will chase after and want to run through a wall for, because you are looking out for you. And I understand this is hard, right? Like this idea of giving up what could have been a couple of months' salary so that other people can eat. But those same people are now calling that leader every day and saying, wherever you go next, I want to go with you. Wherever you are, I want to be with you. There's something valuable there. Remember, your reputation as a leader is everything. And if your reputation as a leader is one as a person who cares about their team and sacrifices for their team and motivates and develops their team, that you see them as more than just a piece on the chessboard, it's going to follow you. But if your reputation as a leader is the authoritarian, the bully, the manipulator, conniving, just soulless and lacking empathy, that's going to follow you too. And I think what often happens for people, because I've seen this in my career, is that people get into leadership positions within certain organizations where they get to operate with impunity, where there are no checks and balances on them. And they think to themselves, oh, I'm going to be in this position forever. And they wield that power in such a way. I got this. I'm not going anywhere. And then the day comes. The day comes. It always comes. As my grandmother would say, man can do whatever he wants, but not for as long as he wants. The day comes when they're removed from that position. And now they're on the search again. And the reputation they built as the manipulator, as the bully, it follows them. And all of a sudden, life gets real hard because those people they stepped on the way to the top, those people they mistreated are now in positions where they could help them, but they won't because our memories are long. And listen, I think forgiveness is a superpower, but sometimes we can't outrun the pain we've caused. Now, I don't know who needs to hear that. I don't know who's watching this and who that's for, but I want you to consider your leadership and the effect that it has on others. What are the ways in which you can grow in your style? Can you recognize the strengths and weaknesses of how you lead? Does your team have the ability to give you honest feedback about your leadership, about who you are and how you show up and how you've made people feel? Remember what I said. Leadership is everything, and how you make people feel is everything. Many leaders on the worst end of the spectrum, I'll say, will surround themselves with yes people. People who tell them their poop doesn't stink. People who tell them that every idea they have is a great idea. People who will go above and beyond to brown nose and yes and amen them. And that is the most dangerous place that you can be. Because it's in that echo chamber you miss what's happening on the ground. The best leaders keep an ear to the street. The best leaders are the ones who are going to sacrifice for others, who are going to help transform people into the best version of themselves. They're going to coach people up so that they can get not just the most out of them, so that they can be set for life in this place and beyond this place. But maybe you're thinking, CJ, I hear you, but I don't have time for that. The job is the job. I just need you to produce the results that I want. I say, cool. Let me know how that works out for you. Because while you may feel secure at your position at the top of the mountain, there's no guarantee that you're there forever. Consider those you've hurt along the way. What might repair and restitution look like? What might a change in your leadership and growing in your maturity as a leader look like? But don't ask me, because what do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.